The launch of Call of Duty Mobile in October 2019 coincided with a period of unprecedented digital acceleration in India. The title benefited significantly from the established brand equity of the Call of Duty franchise on PC and console, which had historically been pirated and played extensively in the region. However, the true catalyst for CODM's massive initial adoption was the structural shift in entertainment consumption during the COVID-19 pandemic. With populations confined indoors, online gaming emerged as a dominant entertainment vertical, with average weekly smartphone time spent on gaming rising from 2.5 hours pre-pandemic to 4.1 hours by April 2020. By mid-2020, India had cultivated the second largest online gaming base in the world, trailing only China with approximately 400 million gamers. During this period, the Indian gaming market was already dominated by PUBG Mobile, but the temporary vacuum created by the government's initial ban on Chinese-linked applications in September 2020 provided CODM with an optimal window for expansion. While the game hit over 100 million downloads globally in its first month, its performance in India was buoyed by displaced players seeking a high-fidelity shooter experience. However, as the market matured and competitors like Garena Free Fire and Battlegrounds Mobile India, BGMI, established their own strongholds, the systemic weaknesses in the CODM mobile-first strategy in India began to manifest. Hardware stratification and the accessibility barrier. A fundamental driver of the perceived decline of CODM in India is the widening gap between the game's technical requirements and the hardware reality of the average Indian consumer. The Indian mobile market is a hierarchy of hardware, where a vast majority of users operate budget or lower mid-range devices that struggle to keep pace with the game's expanding resource demands. The storage crisis and resource proliferation. One of the most persistent complaints within the Indian community is the sheer size of the application. By 2024 and 2025, a full installation of CODM, including all high-definition maps, weapon skins, and operator models required between 25 gigabytes and 30 gigabytes of internal storage. For a user base largely utilizing devices with 64 gigabytes or 128 gigabytes total capacity, this footprint is often prohibitive. The game's modular download system, while designed to mitigate this, creates a secondary default skin problem. Players who choose to download only essential ranked maps often see all opponents as the default Spec Ops 1 model, which fundamentally diminishes the aesthetic value and prestige of the game's monetization. Community reports indicate that downloading the full resource package can take several hours on standard Indian broadband connections, and the insufficient storage error has become a common barrier even for users who appear to have free space. This technical friction creates a high churn rate among casual players who find competitors like Free Fire far more accessible due to their significantly smaller file sizes and lower processing requirements. Thermal regulation and optimization regressions. Optimization is a cyclical issue for CODM in the Indian context. While the game engine is theoretically capable of 60 frames per second on mid-range hardware, seasonal updates frequently introduce performance regressions characterized by frame drops, lag spikes, and significant device overheating. Users on older chipsets, such as the Snapdragon 600 series or early 700 series, report that the game has become increasingly unplayable over time. The metabolic heat generated by the game during extended sessions leads to thermal throttling, which is particularly problematic in India's warmer climate, further degrading the user experience during peak summer months. The game's primary revenue driver is the Lucky Draw system, a randomized gacha mechanic where the most desirable items, mythic or legendary weapon and character skins, are typically only acquired on the final 10th pull. For the Indian region, these draws are technically localized to start at 10 CP COD points, which is significantly lower than the 30 CP starting point in North America. However, the cumulative cost of completing a full draw remains a substantial financial commitment. A full mythic weapon draw in India costs approximately 5,810 CP, while a legendary draw costs between 4,550 and 5,000 CP. A full mythic character draw The most expensive category can require up to 18,000 CP. In the context of the Indian economy, spending 4,000 to 6,000 rupees on a single digital cosmetic is equivalent to the price of a full 888 title on console or several weeks of food for a student, leading to widespread community sentiment that the game is priced for the global elite rather than the local masses. In the Indian gaming ecosystem, the popularity of a game is inextricably linked to the success of its mega influencer. The downfall of Call of Duty. Mobile in India is not a sudden collapse of the player base, but rather a transition from a mass market blockbuster to a mature, niche competitive title. While the title continues to maintain strong global metrics, averaging 12 to 15 million monthly active users, its ability to achieve cultural dominance in India has been permanently hindered by hardware accessibility, localized economic friction, and a lack of institutional logistical stability. If you like this video, then make sure to subscribe.